In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to set up monitoring for your Celery and Celery Bits tasks running in Django. So what I have here is actually Celery running in this tab. And if I go to the other tab, I have Celery Bits running. So right now I have Celery and Celery Bits running. And I want to set up monitoring for these tasks because I want to be able to visualize and see what is happening when a task is running. I want to see why a task failed. I want to see the response that I get from my tasks. So what I can actually do is I can set up monitoring using a library called Flower. Now, before I actually teach you how to set it up, I would like to show you what Flower actually gives you when you integrate it into your Django application. So this is a dashboard which you are going to see. This is actually a live application which I deployed. Now you can see that I have two Celery workers, and I can see the number of processed tasks that each of these workers have processed. Now this is currently saying 4,627. I can see the amount of failed tasks, I can see the amount of succeeded tasks, and I can see some more stats. Now the beauty about this library is instead of only just seeing all of these stats, you can actually see why your tasks failed. So for example, if I want to see all the tasks that failed, I just come here and click the number, and then I get taken to this page. Now, what can I do? I can actually click into one of these tasks, scroll down and see the error trace back. And I can scroll down and see why it actually failed. So this is one of the importance of using this library called Flower. It actually helps you to track, your task, track the amount of tasks that you have running currently, and it also even shows you the amount of time that each task takes. So, for example, if I go to the Tasks tab, if I scroll to the left, I can see the results. I can see when this task was received. I can see when it actually started processing, and I can see the amount of time that it took to process that task, as well as the worker that's processed that task. So it shows you extensive logging, which you can actually, perform, or it shows you extensive logging and monitoring, which you are going to need for your Celery tasks. Now, this library actually does a whole lot more than just monitoring. So what you have here is worker management. Worker management. It's able to view worker status, restart workers, adjust pool sizes, and control auto scale settings. It also has queue monitoring. It's able to visualize queue lengths, statistics for your message brokers like RabbitMQ or Redis, and it's able to control tasks. So you can revoke, terminate, or schedule tasks remotely. It has detailed task info like see arguments, start end times, run time for individual tasks. So what that means is that if I go into tasks, for example, you can see the name of the task that was processed. You can see the unique ID, the state. You can see the arguments which were passed into the task. So what that arguments basically means is if I go into my task now, I can see the arguments, that is the function parameters which were passed in, whether it was an argument or keyword argument. I can see the results, when it was received, when it started, how long it took, and the worker that executed it. So this flower library gives us a whole lot, and I am actually going to be teaching you how to integrate it into your Django project. So this is documentation which I have here, and I'm going to leave a link to this page in the description of this video. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we need to actually install Flower because we need it. So I'm going to copy this command, or you can just type it out. Head to your terminal, and in a new tab, I'm just going to paste it. Pip install Flower. Now, I already have this library installed, so I will most likely get a requirement already satisfied message. Now, after installing Server, we basically need to run very simple command. So right here, I have requirement already satisfied. I'm just going to clear my screen. So after installing Flower, there is just a few things that we need to do. So we can see the usage here. To run Server, you need to provide the broker URL. Now, the reason why we're not going to be following this command exactly is because I already actually have one written in my settings.py file. And there is a slight difference. Here, it says celery dash dash broker dash dash broker is equals to the broker URL. Now, what I have actually done is in my settings.py file, when I was setting up RabbitMQ and Celery, I had told Celery to connect to my RabbitMQ broker URL. So what that means is that I don't actually have to specify my broker URL when I am running Flower because it is already specified in my Django project. And if you notice here, it just says celery dash dash broker and then Flower. But what we're going to do is when we're running our own, we're actually going to pass in the name of our Django project so that it can actually make reference to the broker URL which our project is using. So what I'm going to do is I will just copy this command, come to my terminal and paste it. So the command is celery space dash a space the name of your project. Mine is called authentication project. If I open it, and you can see my settings.py file is inside a folder called authentication project. So that is the name of my project. So you just simply say celery space dash a space the name of your project is Flower, and then dash dash p is dash dash port is equal to 5555. So what this basically means is that when you what this basically means, this dash dash ports, what it means is that you are telling Celery what port you want to run this Flower on. So whatever port you run it on, you're just going to visit it. You're just going to check the Flower dashboard on that spot on that port for the URL. So let's just run this and we're going to see exactly how to access it. Now note that I still have Celery running and I still have Celery bits actively sending tasks to Celery to run. So if I come back here, I'm just going to wait for Flower to start executing. Now, once I do that, you can see that it lists out all of these tasks for me. You can see it lists out the tasks which I actually have in my project. So core.task.greet and core.task.send email. Those are the tasks that I actually have written inside my task.py file. Now, the next thing is you can see it is connected to this specific endpoint. It was able to connect to that endpoint because when we ran this command, we specified our Django project. So it was able to look into our Django project and figure out that we were connected to this specific broker URL. So it's made use of that broker URL. So to now actually view the Django, to view the Celery dashboard, we're going to first make sure our Django development server is running. Then I will copy this URL from here. I'll open my browser, go to a new tab. Now, instead of pasting port 8000, I'm just going to visit port 5555. I'm visiting that port because when we ran the command, we specified the port to be 5555. That is why we are visiting it on this port. Now, it is also good to note that this is completely editable. So if I go to the documentation, you can see it says by default, Flower runs on port 5555, which can be modified with the port option. So you can see here, they changed the port from 5555 to 5001. So you can make use of whatever port you want. So I'm just going to go to this new tab and press enter. Now, once I press enter, you can now see that we are able to see our Flower dashboard, which is running locally. And I can see that I have just one worker. And I can see the number of processed tasks. I can see the number of field. So if I head to tasks, I can see that these are the tasks which are currently running. Now, these tasks are being generated and run because I have Celery bit actively telling my Celery instance to execute these tasks. So I just ran this very simple task just for the purpose of this tutorial. If I go back to workers, it will change to 3 soon. So that is basically what we are going to talk about in this tutorial. If I head to broker, for example, you can see that this is the broker URL, AMPQ guest, localhost, and that. But if I go back to the live version, let me check broker. We can see that is the exact same thing which is on the live version. So we can actually even go into one of the workers, which I had explained. Remember that I had explained that we can actually, from what Google said, we can actually control tasks, we can manage queues. So part of task control is revoking, terminating, scheduling tasks, and viewing stats. So what this basically allows us to do is view into the details of a specific worker. We can see the pool, we can see the max concurrency. If I go to the broker, I can see details about the broker itself, the failover strategy. We can see that it's using round robin. I can go to the queues. So this is the current queue. This is the consumer. So I can cancel it, but I'm just going to leave it. We can see the tasks. We can see the limits. So you can actually come here to set limits. So these are all the tasks which I actually have running in this live version of this deployed Celery instance. And you can see that we can actually rate limits and set timeouts for each of these tasks. So Flower actually gives you a lot out of, Flower actually gives you a lot of functionality that you can make use of. Then we can see system and you can see other. So basically, you can just go through the documentation as well as go through the dashboard to see the different features that Flower provides. So something else that you can actually do is you can set authentication details. Now, I know that this is actually very, very sensitive because imagine you have your tasks running on a live server, which I have here, for example. Imagine you have your tasks running on a live server. You would want to actually create a way that only authorized people can actually see it. So we want to create a form of, a username and password of some form of authentication to actually protect our Celery dashboard to only allow those who are verified to see it. Now, if I head back to the documentation, if I scroll down, you have the authentication section here. Now, under authentication section, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to click HTTP basic authentication. Now, what Celery allows us to do is it allows us to set a default username and password so that when we try to access this page, it will actually prompt us to enter the username and password before it allows us, before Flower actually allows us to view the dashboard. So if I head back to the documentation, it says Flower supports basic authentication as built-in authentication method, allowing you to secure access to Flower using simple username and password credentials. This authentication method is commonly used for straightforward authentication requirements. Now, it's actually very, very simple to set up. It's just about passing in a new parameter into the command. Now, if I head back to my terminal, in my settings, I will actually copy this command, which I have written here. So let's look at the difference. Right here, we have Celery space dash authentication project, which is the name of my project, space Flower dash dash port. So you can see for the most part, the beginning is the exact same command as running Flower normally, but we're adding an extra variable or an extra key, which is called basic dash auth. And here we're setting the username to admin and we're setting the password to password1. So let me just zoom in here again so that you can properly see it. So it is Celery space dash A, the project name, space Flower, dash dash ports, dash dash basic underscore auth. Then you set your username colon, your password. So I'm just going to copy this command, zoom out a bit, and then I'll head back to the terminal where I have Flower running. I'm just going to break out of this, clear my screen, and paste this command. So let's actually then see what happens when I try to reload the page after this command runs. So after it runs, I'll just head back to my terminal, come back here, and once I try to refresh, you can see now that I am being prompted to actually enter a username and password. So I'll just enter the username and the password. The password which I set was password1. So I would copy it and paste it. So once I click sign in, let me do that again. Perhaps I typed something wrong. Admin and then password1. So let's click sign in. Now, once I click sign in, you can see that we have been given access to the Flower dashboard. So this is how you can actually authenticate your dashboard to actually prevent people from being able to just access it like that, because anybody in the world could very well just visit that URL and see all the stats about your tasks, and that could be dangerous because it could then give them information about how your service is actually running on the back end. Now, there's actually something else that we can do. So we can set up Google authentication. So it says Flower provides authentication support using Google Auth, enabling you to authenticate users through their Google accounts. So what you can actually do is, I'm not going to be talking about this, but they provide Google Auth. They also provide GitHub Auth, and they provide Okta Auth as well as GitLab. So if you actually want to set up any of these authentication methods, I would encourage that you just come and read through the documentation. The documentation is actually very clear on how to set it up, but that is all we're going to be talking about in this tutorial. So if you have any question, please don't hesitate to leave it in the comment section. Also, kindly don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and I'm going to see you in the next one.